Hi everybody, my name is Katie. I've been playing Animal Crossing New Horizons every day since the day that it launched. This is episode 3 of the Island Designer series. For more information about what we've done up to now, I recommend you watch the first 2 episodes. Today we're going to talk about terraforming and island mapping. Those are just big words that mean let's take a few minutes and make a game plan. Last time on episode 2, we cleared the land of items, flowers, bushes, weeds, and trees. Today we will tackle the buildings and the land itself. Unlike previous episodes, we won't necessarily finish one step and go to the next. Island mapping and terraforming is more about the flow of creativity. Future episodes will be about the creativity itself as we decorate individual areas of the island. My number 1 tip for island design is this: determine the plan for 3 areas: your airport, resident services, and a starting corner. The rest will work itself out in the design as you go. Here I'm looking at my map. You can see my resident services and my airport are fairly central in my island, and down in the bottom left corner is my dock. And that is where I've determined my starting corner to be. Grizzly here is one of the new islanders that I spent quite a while on a villager hunt searching for. I wanted him to be my Papa Bear Christmas teddy bear, and he is going to be a fisherman bear, and he's going to live on the beach in that bottom corner, and the campsite is going to be in that area as well. Now that I know what my starting area is going to be, let's go take a look at it right now. Here I am standing on my dock in the bottom left corner of my island. In this area currently, I have Rudy's house. He's going to be staying. You can see I've pulled him in because of the beautiful Christmas colors of his house. And I also have Melba. I adore Melba, but her house and her style don't really fit the Christmas theme. So I'll be watching for her to have a thought bubble over her head and be ready to move sometime in the next few times I time travel. Right across the bridge from them up here is Grizzly's house. He's got kind of that woodsy, kind of a camping style house that also has the red and green, and is just what I was looking for my fisherman bear in the corner. But that's not where his house is at the moment, and I can't quite put it down here yet because I have other things in the way. This gives me my first step. But where do I put those houses? At the moment, when you look at my map, I'm going to be working along from the bottom left corner across upward towards resident services by way of the airport, and then I will probably flush out the rest of a downtown space around resident services that will include a good portion of the beach down there. So I know I don't want to put the houses there. What I need to do is move them completely out of my way. I'm going to be putting them up where the campsite is currently, and that is so that they are on a second level in the back corner in what I know is going to be one of the last places I will be going. There's a pretty good sized lake back there right now, and I can fit most of the houses that I need to move out of the way in that space without having to do anything other than pull the lake out. So there is my step 1. Pull out the lake, move the 2 houses on the beach up there, and then I can move the campsite and Grizzly's house down to the beach. Once I have those little shuffles in place, I can map out what that bottom area is going to look like on the beach, and I'll be ready to move forward with mapping out the rest of the island. So I'm going to head over to resident services now and start up on some of the moving. I'm making a quick stop at resident services to talk to Tom Nook. I want to go ahead and get one of the houses in my pocket before I head up to the lake. So we're going to do that really quick. Just let's talk infrastructure. We'll pull up everybody's information and I'll say, I want layout changes. From this menu, I can talk to any of the islanders on the island and have them move. So let's go ahead and start with Rudy since his house is the furthest on the beach. Once I say yes, I understand that that's going to cost 50,000 bells. Then it's just a matter of hitting that B button over and over to get through the scene. Now that we're done with that scene, I have Rudy's moving kit in my pocket. And when I'm up at the lake, after I flatten that area, I'll be ready to put his house down right away. I'm going to run up there right now and take care of this lake. Now that the lake is gone and Rudy's house has been put down, it'll be moved here on the next day. Before I just time travel forward and go to that next day to move the house, there are a number of other things that we need to accomplish. I have 10 things that I do every day when I'm in the middle of island design and I'm time traveling forward quickly. The first one is to move buildings, which we've done. The second is to demolish bridges or inclines. We have a lot of bridges and inclines on the island. It's important not to skip days because it will take a long time to do that. I've already asked Tom to do one of those for the day. The third thing on the list is to check the ATM for Nook Mile points, which I've also done today. The fourth thing is to stop in and shop at the stores if there are clothes or furniture items that you're looking for. The fifth is to take advantage of any visiting characters, such as KK here, or if you had Sahara, you could buy rugs. If you had Red, you could buy art from him. Any of the characters that are there, take advantage. You can also jump in the water and get a pearl or a recipe from Pascal every day. Complete simple Nook Mile tasks with big bonuses. This is number 6, and a lot of people forget that once you've played the game far enough, you have extra bonuses for certain items. You can see here I have a ×5 bonus for watering flowers. I don't actually need to water any of my flowers today, and they're on the beach, so they can't really grow, but that is a lot of points just for watering the flowers on the beach. So it's very quick and easy for me to pop over to them and get a lot of points. I also go through and hit my rocks for resources. You need a lot of resources when you're building up new island designs, so I take advantage of that as well. And the next thing is kind of a 2-part task. I go through each of my villagers and I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to watch for thought bubbles if they have the opportunity to move and I want them to move. I currently have 2 more villagers that I'm looking to kick, so I'm going to make sure that I have eyes on them before I move forward. The second part of speaking with villagers then is number 9, and that is to make sure you speak to and give gifts to each individual villager that you are still trying to build up friendship points with and are still trying to get a villager photo. The very last item, number 10, is to order catalog items. There are a number of different things that you will need when you're building up an island, and you can only get 5 items at a time. For me, I'm also working towards friendship points, so I will stop and get the items that I need to gift my villagers while I'm going through this process. So don't miss out on the opportunity to get those 5 items each day. Again, 1 through 10, move buildings, demolish bridges and inclines, check the ATM for Nook Mile points, shop in the stores, take advantage of visiting characters, complete simple Nook Mile tasks with big bonuses, hit the rocks for resources, watch for thought bubbles on villagers that you want to move, speak to and give gifts to villagers that you're trying to build friendship points with, and order any catalog items that you're going to need. I actually keep this list with me when I'm going through the process, and I just go from top to bottom so I don't forget any steps. I do a lot of friendship point boosting during this time when I'm moving buildings around, and I recommend you check out my tips and tricks video on how I quickly gain villager photos. I'm going to finish time traveling through days to get the rest of the buildings we talked about moved for this bottom left corner of my island. I'll go through each of those items 1 through 10 each day, and once I get the new buildings set in place, I'll be back with you here. I'm back. It's a few days later, and I've been able to move all of the houses around that we talked about, including the ones in this bottom corner. We can go take a look really quick. You can get an idea of the type of cubbyhole nook I'm trying to create here, a little fishing cabin on the beach type of a spot. And I really want the land mass to come up behind it and make it kind of a private area. So what I'm going to do is mark where the trees are going to go. I've just got a little bit of a basic pattern here. I'm going to put this one on the ground. I know a tree will be able to go there. I want to do at least 2 trees deep. It looks like this is probably the next best space for a tree right here. Yeah, I'm going to move it one closer. I don't want quite so much space. Again, I want this to be a really tight little space, as if you just open up into this little fishing spot. And since that one has to be there, let's move this one over a little bit. With those 2 trees in place, there'll be limited amount of walk space to kind of get through here. So I'm imagining that the path will probably be fine if it comes from these little stones. In fact, I might be able to leave that part intact just as it is and just put another tree down about right here. Again, this is just a placeholder so I can visualize where things are going to go. Obviously the tree can't go that close to the water. This will be the one that we keep. And I'm going to bring the land up behind it. So here we're going to go with our first real terraforming since we started bringing things down. I'm going to get into my construction hat, and I'm going to place the land closer to these trees. I really want this area to be snug. Give me just a second here and I'll put this land in place. All right, I think that's where the land is going to go. I'm just going to switch over to the grass really quick and get rid of the rest of this pattern. A couple videos back I told you guys I didn't do these patterns till the end, and this is part of the reason, because I just put some land up and it automatically took the path away, so I don't have to worry about that any further. We're just going to test to make sure that we can still use these rocks here to jump, and we can, so that works out great. I'm going to hop over to the other side here. I don't know where the rest of this lake is, the river is going at the moment. But we have our first area mapped out. It's kind of like I was talking about earlier in this video. The goal of this was not to necessarily create and decorate a space, just to map out where and how that space is going to be. So here we can see the area that this little campsite is going to take. Let's go look at some of the spacing for our other areas. I'm on the other side of the river from my campsite, and I've got 2 trees here. If you're curious, I am in the middle of fall right now, so I've kept one for acorns and one for pine cones in case I need to collect them. It's also nice to have trees on hand to shake branches out if you need it for tools. My Nook's Cranny is really nice if it can be close to the airport, but I don't really want it here. I really want to come off the airport and go into more of a wooded, natural area that has a little path that winds its way around and then joins the town square. So what I'll need to do in this space before I can move too much further is to move the store someplace else, at least for now, and to delete this bridge and probably take out the water because it won't be coming this direction. One of the big mistakes that I see people make when they are mapping out space on their island, they put one area here and then they'll have lots of big space, and then they'll have an entryway, and then there'll be lots of empty space and they'll have a mini library, and then more empty space and they'll have a diner. I find that if things are connected, cohesive as they move together, the island really feels more complete and more interesting when you're walking through it. The best way to avoid that is to work from one space to another. That's part of what the flow is that I'm trying to put together. So here we've mapped this space out, so the next space I need to map is going to be right here, from here to the airport. That way I'm going in order. I finished all my daily tasks for the previous day, and I got Nook's Cranny moved as well as that bridge demolished. And now I have this open space for my entryway to put together. I'm going to go ahead and do some of this with you so that you can see the thought process that I put together when I'm trying to create a space. Like I was saying before, I want it to be a little bit of a natural space, as if I'm coming straight into the woods, and then I want the woods to open up into the Christmas town area. I want that reveal when you hit town, which means I don't actually want to see very much of the town from when I get off the airport. So one of the things that I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a basic path here. It doesn't matter what I'm going to use in the future. Right now, I'm just putting things down. A couple little pieces. Ironically, these ones here are probably not in a bad spot. I want that path to meander around and curve up and around a little bit until it comes down to the little rock path here to go over to the campsite. So now I know I have that direction now. I know that somewhere around here it's going to move backwards again and head into town. And I know somewhere off of this intersection over here, probably like this, I will have another direction that heads over to the ice area with the penguins. So now I've mapped out what's going to be one of the big intersections of town. And for me, that means I'll probably put something really beautiful and iconic here, like a large Christmas tree decoration of some sort. So as I'm coming off, if I want to cover up the rest of the Christmas village, which is going to be this side, I know that I need to go ahead and put some cliffs up here so that I don't have that view. And that's what I'm going to go through and do really quick here. Alright, I've got the beginning of the cliff in place. Anytime that I put a space like this down, I want to make sure on ends like this that I have at least 3 blocks. And that's because I want the ability to turn the edge and smooth it out. This is a really important part of making a space look natural. Here where I've got this indentation, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of a block and then smooth it. Again, I want a nice, natural, clean looking place. I'm going to go ahead and do this one here. Even though we didn't finish the other side of the cliff, you can see at least what that space will look like. When you come off the airport, I'll worry about decorating it later. But now I have the intersection, I have the path, and I know that it's going to come around. I imagine that the street that's going to run through town will probably run right alongside resident services, or at least one space away at the most. And since I already have a path that's kind of in place, I can use that as a guideline. So I'm just going to kick this line here so I can see that edge real clean. If this ends up being my path, these 3 blocks here to move forward, I have the middle point of those. I can grab my dirt and come forward from the middle of those spaces, and you can see that it's going to match up with my path over here really nicely. I may even be able to pull this path out just a little bit more to give it some room, and this is how we will enter town. Now that I have a little bit of the entryway mapped out, we will put greenery and forest stuff will kind of be in this space down here. Again, we want it to look more like the woods, and I'll go ahead and I will map out a little bit of the penguin space on the other side. At this point, I have good bones for what I am doing moving forward, and what I really need to do now is finish moving all of my houses. So I'm going to take a few days. I'm going to do my daily chores. I'm going to finish deleting the bridges and the inclines on my island, and I'm going to move the rest of the villager houses up into that space in the top right where it's on the second level. I know that most of my island outside of town area is going to be up on that second level, so I'm not worried about leaving those there, and I'm going to take the rest of the water out. A lot of the water is going to go a different direction, and it'll be a lot easier to see my next steps with that moved. I also have both of my villager houses that need to be moved back down into town. One for sure is going to be downtown. A second one is going to be a different character in the downtown area, and we're going to create a third profile. That third profile is going to be Santa, and he will be a little bit north of town. But since I haven't created him yet, we don't have to worry about that. That leaves me a lot of steps to finish here before we start the next episode. So as always, I hope you guys found something here to inspire you to continue creating in this game. And until next time, I hope you have the best Animal Crossing day.